Hello, one and all. Welcome to the first ever episode of Monday Night Moviecast with Logibear and the Shininator.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Check out Shininator film reviews
on Facebook.
Yeah.
Facebook.com/Shinman's List.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll put a link in the description after. Or I'll put a link in chat later. Okay. So, top 10 supervillains from TVs and movies. So Connor and I did a little bit of work beforehand, kind of brainstorming a couple of people we'd want to discuss options. And so we're just gonna go through a little bit of them, and then we'll debate. Because we have more than 10, so then we'll debate on our 10, and then after that we'll debate on which ones goes in what position. Obviously, one is you're the best supervillain, which is kind of an oxymoron because they'd be the worst.
Yeah. Do you want to say the top 10 worst? Then?
Yeah, there you go. And we have a couple honorable mentions too. Okay, but the first one we have is Loki from MCU.
Should we discuss what we're judging on and our criteria?
Yeah, go for it.
So yeah, if it's a TV show or a movie based on a comic book, not necessarily Marvel or DC, though we will be focusing strongly on that, but we also are mentioning The Incredibles, Megamind, and The Unbreakable we have scheduled in our discussion so far. So
and Green, yeah, that's an honorable mention.
Green Hornet's actually DC.
Oh, property. It is. You're right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, movies and TV shows, though basically all of Marvel TV shows have no notable villains, so don't expect anything from there.
Well, we have them on the list. We have the one notable villain from...
But not from Marvel TV.
Oh, yeah, it's from Daredevil.
Oh, that's right. Fair enough.
Yeah, we have Kingpin on there. Okay, so we have Loki from MCU, Tom Hiddleston. You know, that's pretty... He's such one of those unique villains, though, because he, is a kind of an anti-hero in the end, though, because he's
Well, he goes back and forth.
Yeah. He's got a really cool character, right? Oh, we got Baron Zemo. I just dropped the list because I'm a pleb.
Yes, that's the word that I would use to describe him.
Yeah, we got Baron Zemo from Civil War, or Bacon Guy. It's kind of funny. People might know him as. I can't read your writing. Thanos, obviously. I mean, yeah, come on. What?
That says Vulture.
That says okay. So Vulture. You just read your list, man. I can't read his writing. It's terrible.
Vulture and Mysterio from the MCU Spider-Man movies. We have Hela from Thor Ragnarok. Dr. Octopus from the Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2. We have Kingpin from Marvel's Daredevil on Netflix and from Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. We have Magneto from the X-Men movies. In terms of DC, we have Lex Luthor, specifically the version from Smallville. We have Joker from both the Dark Knight movie and the Joker movie from last year with Joaquin Phoenix. We have Bane from the Dark Knight Rises. And moving into TV again, Eobard Thawne from the CW's Flash series.
Reverse Flash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We would like to talk about Syndrome from The Incredibles. Megamind from Megamind, and Mr. Glass from Unbreakable.
Which you're going to have to table most of that discussion because I haven't seen Glass.
Oh, I can do that for you.
But I trust that he's a good villain on what I know.
And an honorable mention for the discussion, because he's definitely not making on the list, is Bludnovsky from the Green Hornet movie.
Oh, yeah. Legendary. The legendary.
Great comic relief. You know, great actor. I love...
Who even is that? Who even is that?
Christoph
Waltz?
Yeah, Christoph Waltz.
Okay.
Your cap box is on.
Yeah.
Caps lock is on.
Yeah. Hey, don't be shilling out like that. Okay, so Loki, I guess, to kind of just quickly go through and discuss why we chose. Well, we went over Loki already.
We can talk about it more.
There you go.
He's definitely the longest running present villain or character, I'll say, through the years. Thanos has kind of been this overlaying threat, but he only really was present in Guardians of the One kind of, and then Infinity War and Endgame, whereas Loki shows up in Thor, is the main villain for the Avengers. Shows up again in Thor: The Dark World.
Yeah, he's a big villain there too.
I guess I didn't. He was only in a deleted scene for Age of Ultron. He shows back up in Thor: Ragnarok, and then makes a statement at the beginning of Infinity War. Which.
Okay, one heck of a statement, though.
Yeah.
Let me say that.
Yeah. So, I mean, longevity alone, I mean, is worth at least talking about. And he's very diverse. You know, sometimes we see him just. Oh, he was in Endgame.
Yeah, he was.
In the past.
In the past,
That's true.
Yeah.
Because he's getting his TV show.
Yes, he is. He steals the Tesseract once again.
Yeah. But we get to see he as a character, even when he's not the main antagonist, you know, he drives story and character in the movies that he's in. Right? Even when he dies 3 minutes into Infinity War, that acts as like a determination factor for Thor in his hatred and
it is a big catalyst. Yes.
And guilt through the rest of that movie, right? And even with his disability to trust in all three Thor movies, you know, Thor has to learn and he has to grow. And from the first Thor movie, specifically, I'm thinking about, you know, Thor learns through Loki, you know, not to be a headstrong warrior as a leader, right? Because Loki baited him into doing that, and then
multiple times
it didn't work out. So at the end of the movie, we see Thor decide that that's not the way to go, and that's really because of Loki. So even, you know, in his villainy, he's helping the heroes grow, which I don't think we're gonna see in a ton of our villains.
And I think you hit on a great point there. Like, we'll talk to. I think when we get to Joker, that's another one that actually is a really, because I think honestly for me, what makes a great villain is somebody that actually like brings character change in the protagonist and actually like makes them question what they're doing.
Yeah, at least significantly.
Yes. I mean, besides the normal surface level interactions.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't have much else to say about Loki because I
think that's a good.
It's a really
introduction.
It's a real. So I'm gonna take Zemo because Zemo was my pick, and I think this man is a diabolical villain.
Yep.
So obviously, if you haven't seen Civil War, then
by the way, spoilers for a lot of superhero movies if you haven't seen them.
Okay. Sure, we can call spoilers now, but the movies have been out for years. They've been out for years. So the reason that I think Baron Zemo is one of the great like villains top 10, because he actually like succeeds in his like mission. Now I know people will say like he still ends up in prison and whatever, but like he actually like takes on one of the biggest challenges, which is to divide the Avengers, and actually like does it with pretty good success, because once they divide, like their team dynamic even up until Endgame is not the same.
Yeah.
There is still like hostility, and I want to say like I don't know there's still grievances between different team members and stuff, and like Tony has like this huge breakthrough in like I think his own psyche of like finding out his parents were murdered by a highly trained assassin
and Steve knew the whole time.
Yeah, which is like already like crazy enough. But then that highly trained assassin is best friends with one of his best friends. Like and for Baron Zemo to come in there and to like manipulate and pull those strings to really like get these people to fight is crazy. And the fact that and the Sokovia Accords would have gone off even if Zemo hadn't like been there, but they probably wouldn't have had a civil war over it. They probably wouldn't have physically fought and destroyed an entire airport. You know, Rhodey probably would still have real legs.
Yeah.
Right? Rest in peace, Don Cheadle's legs.
Yeah.
So like,
not actually, but
you know,
he's walking fine in real life.
Well, he's pretty old.
It's a good thing.
So that's why I think Zemo really is like a great, because he succeeded. He tore apart the world's defenders.
I will make one point. And I'm not trying to discredit Zemo entirely, but Zemo in the movie claims that his intentions were to actually get the Avengers to kill each other, and no one actually dies in the movie. So he does succeed to an extent in splitting the Avengers up.
I'll give you that. I think out
his
of all
spoken intent is not completely fulfilled.
I'll give you that one. But just out of all the other Marvel villains, besides like Thanos, he's the only one that doesn't just get completely destroyed.
Yep.
Like he's the only. I guess Killmonger has some success too, but he's not on our list because he's kind of overrated.
Where do we go next?
Well, we got Thanos next, but I feel like we don't really have to.
I mean, he came into Infinity War, and I think really when we're talking about Thanos,
it's Infinity
War that we're talking about, not Guardians of the Galaxy, not even really Endgame past the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Where he sees himself as like this, with this savior complex, and right, he just like knocks people over left and right because he's so powerful, and they portray that so well just from the way that they start the movie with like Thor's just kind of out for the count before the movie starts, right? And then a fight scene with the Hulk, and the Hulk just gets trashed.
Absolutely demolished.
Where like Thanos is not a force to be reckoned with, but he also doesn't kill more than he needs to, right? We gotta thank you for discrediting Killmonger from Mediocre Trout.
That's my boy.
You know, I think people say, you know, villains don't always think that they're the bad guy. I think some people do know that they're the bad guy and know that their intentions are evil, but in this very specific case, the severity and the scale of what Thanos wants to do and his feelings behind it are really interesting in a way that you won't see many other places. Also, spoiler alert for this podcast, I would be beyond shocked if Thanos did not make our top 10 list.
Okay, so to touch on the Thanos thing, I think everything you said was right, and that he's just this all-powerful savior-like person. But the reason that I think he is so like compelling, because honestly, Infinity War is not an Avengers movie. It is a Thanos movie. Like it's designed to tell his story, and I love that. And he, as much you could debate the ethics of it or not, but the fact is, no other Marvel villain has actually made me question whether they're actually like whether their morals and motives are correct, and that the Avengers are wrong. And I think as a writer and whatever, and sitting in the audience, I actually think that's a really cool thing. Because I sat there and I thought about it for a second, and I was like, maybe killing maybe you know, culling half of the universe is good, because you see all these planets and races destroyed.
That's on the internet now. Logan just questioned if he should kill half the for equality's sake.
No, but that's and Thanos is very humanized.
Yeah,
and that's why that's all I'm gonna say, because I just dug myself in the internet's biggest hole. You know, 15 years from now, when I'm gonna host the Oscars, this is gonna come up, and they're gonna be like, Logan's a genocidal maniac.
You can't be a politician
you can't. Yeah. Okay, well, Vulture from Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Yeah.
Because like.
Also, I feel like Michael Keaton just has a unnatural habit of playing winged characters.
Yeah.
He was Batman for 2 movies.
He was.
Apparently, he might be coming back.
Oh no, he's coming back.
And then he was Birdman in that movie that won Best Picture 6 years ago.
Oh yeah.
And then he was Vulture.
Also, Michael Keaton's supposed to be in Flash now too as Batman.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Yes, so I think the Vulture, if he makes the top 10 list, I'm not saying he will, I think he should. He's definitely lower on the list. I think he's like an 8. Just gotta get that out. But I think the reason that I really like him as a villain is like, it's that human thing again. Like, he knows he's a bad guy.
Yeah.
But like, it actually like starts with the best intentions, I guess, and like, it starts
with the worst of circumstances for him, really.
Yeah, but then it turns into the best intentions. Like, well, I gotta provide for my family, and he does want to. I guess he does really want to screw over the
Avengers.
Well,
Tony
whatever that company's called, that
Damage control.
Yeah, damage control. That's really, I think, his motive is to mess with them because they take his big contract away. But
yeah.
And I like that it's a family man. Honestly, I like that.
Yeah.
It shows that he has a family and everything. And
well, it's an unexpected card on the table.
Yeah.
There was a series of YouTube videos called One Marvelous Moment leading up to Endgame, and they were discussing, how great the MCU was, and these people who make video essays are talking about their favorite moments in the entire MCU, and this one guy did a video on the car scene.
Oh,
on
yeah.
the way to the homecoming dance. And the interesting aspect of Spider-Man versus the Vulture, or Peter Parker versus whatever his name is in that movie.
Frank something.
Is like they're like they both figured it out. They know who each other is in that card, but the only reason they can't do anything is the fact that Liz, which is their mutual love interest.
Yeah.
Different kind of loves, but is in the car with them, so they can't do anything about it. But it's interesting, and it brings a new dynamic to the villain.
I'd agree with you, and
also, you want to talk about villains winning, right? He's talking about fighting for the little guy, right? And people get screwed over, and Tony Stark wants to, rule the upper world and rule the whole world with all of his wealth and fame. And at the end of the movie, when he offers Peter Parker the next level suit, Peter Parker turns it down based on, that opinion.
Okay.
Right? So he can continue to fight for the little guy. So, yeah, there was an influence on the main character, the hero there.
Yeah.
Because really, that argument is not, it's not bad to say. I'm upset that the rich and wealthy are taking everything from the middle class and the poor, and I'm upset about it. And someone should do something about it. It's not the worst thing to say.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you mentioned the car scene, because that's a great one, but I was going to mention just the house scene, and then when the wife is there, and they just have that, moment of, and it's been done in every Spider-Man movie. There's the Thanksgiving scene and the Sam Raimi ones, and then they have the dinner scene again in... is it the second Amazing Spider-Man?
The first one.
The first
with
one.
The police officer.
Yeah, with the police officer. And it's like I kind of thought, okay, this trope is getting a little old. No, it's incredible, and it's because Michael Keaton, we're talking more about the actor here and less about the character itself, but it's so well done, and everything you said is true about the mutual love interest.
Yeah, but apparently broke mediocre trout here. Mutual love interest that had me.
Of course, Jacob agrees with Connor.
Toombs, Adrian Toombs, that's his name.
Why did I say Frank?
You think of Punisher or something?
No, I'm thinking of Ozark, because there's a guy that is identical to his character and everything. Yeah, anyway, okay, I think that's enough about Vulture.
Ride the Spider-Man train. Why don't you lead us with Mysterio?
Oh, I was the one that fought a little. We didn't fight, but I was like, we gotta put Mysterio on here because Jake Gyllenhaal is just Jake Gyllenhaal, and I was happy to see him in a villain role, and just look at his beautiful face. So just gonna be. But
all right.
Jokes aside, I think Mysterio is also really good because it's the thing we talked about earlier, where it actually brings out character change in the protagonist, because you have, and mind you, he's acting the whole time, but it actually still makes Peter change his actions.
Yeah. When
they do the fake bar scene, and he's like, go and protect the people you love, or whatever. And then Peter, you notice his character shift throughout the rest of the movie.
Yep.
And I think, and then he still is a really bad guy. And you want to talk about just pure villainy for a second? The post-credit scene, and just sewering him like that, that's good villainy to me.
Yep.
And I think, and again, I don't necessarily agree with his motives. I think they're a little.
Well, this
weird.
is not someone's motives that you're supposed to agree with.
No, I know, but I mean, I don't like the motives in the sense that, I think they could have been better. Is what I'm saying. Not better ethically, but better, more compelling. I don't know if that makes sense, but
But
that.
speaking of his motives, it is an interesting, callback to, because really, in Phase 3 of Marvel, it starts with Civil War and ends with Spider-Man: Far From Home, and to bookend them both with this barf technology.
That's true.
The holograms, which really in Civil War was to just kind of present a quick aspect of Tony Stark's character, and to call it barf for like a quick joke, and then to bring it back at the end of this phase.
It's true.
Right, and say like, yeah, this quick joke that y'all kind of haha at it in the theaters, that like inspired an entire villain to like wait for Tony Stark to die, and then manipulate Tony Stark's,
yeah,
next in line.
It's true.
To destroy the legacy.
Yeah, and give props to Mysterio again, in that he is able to like not just like. The fact that he actually gets the whole world to believe, like he's so charismatic. Like the fact, like in the realm of the world, he's so charismatic to get the whole world to actually like he, and this I want to raise this question right now because I've had it for a while and because I know the two people in chat right now, you guys have seen these movies a lot. Do you think
that Mysterio's dead?
No. At what point do you think Maria Hill and Nick Fury kind of start to get the feeling that this guy is BSing right now? Because like clearly there's the funny scene in the last battle where he's like, it's getting too close to the Earth's core and it's gonna turn nuclear or whatever, and then Sam Jackson's like, okay, that's a load of bull, and then he shoots the RPG and it's this funny moment. But like, at what point do you think he actually had, like, because he had Nick Fury and Maria Hill in his hands?
Yeah.
Like that's not an easy task to do.
No, and they mentioned that too.
Yeah. So like, yeah.
And well, I think the reason when they found out was when Happy Hogan FaceTimed them and said appearances can be deceiving, and then they're like, something's up. What are you looking at?
Oh, it's hard to read chat from here, so I have it open on my phone.
Fair enough.
Yeah, Jacob just telling us he's got to go. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, no,
Okay, but other question. Do you think that Mysterio's dead? Because
no, I don't think he's dead at all.
I don't think he's dead.
No.
I'm kind of on the fence about it.
I don't think he's dead. We didn't actually see him die.
And Peter asked the dumbest question on that bridge. Is this real? There are no illusions. Well, he could just be faking that. He's just laying on the floor.
Yeah, no,
If he's not dead, I'd love to see him come back.
Yeah, I would too. He's a very compelling character. Well, the reason that I don't think he's dead is just because seeing the post-credit scene.
Well, that was set up earlier.
No, it was.
The big glasses dude from
Yeah. No, I know.
He was the one that
put
that together.
But the reason that I'm still saying that is like somebody still has to like coordinate all of that, like still has to create that fake story, and I don't think Big Glasses guy has the ability to do that. Like somebody has to keep feeding Jameson information and like keep fueling the media on who Spider-Man is. So like, I think that's the only reason why I think he's still alive. And like, I think they're doing a Sinister Six movie next. I just have a feeling.
I would like it to be that.
Yeah, I would like to be that too. And Mysterio would be a good part in that.
Yes, he would.
So I think they'd bring him back for that. And we've never seen that in a Marvel movie before, really, besides with Thanos.
Which?
Besides like Loki, we've never really seen like a villain transcend into another like direct sequel. I guess if you count Winter Soldier, but
he wasn't a villain,
right? Like we've never had a villain supposedly die and then show up again. Yeah. They've never pulled an M. Night Shyamalan on us, which I think would be cool.
Yep. Who we go next?
Hela.
All right, you can take this one as well.
Yeah, Hela was also my pick. There's two reasons I think that she deserves to be on this list. She absolutely decimates Thor and Loki.
Oh yeah.
And that is not an easy task. And she in Ragnarok in Thor mythology would have happened anyway.
Yeah.
But the fact that she capitalizes on that is so smart. And the fact that do we ever really know what happens to Odin? Does he just die in his sleep, or does she kill him?
He fades off into the stars.
Yeah.
And then his life force was is what was keeping Hela in that prison. So then she walked
okay.
through on that cliff.
Right. Yes. Okay. It's been a little while since I've seen the movie. And so then there's that reason, and then the fact that like she just decimates the entire Asgardian army.
Yeah.
And like she's a god, like she's a goddess.
Yep.
So like I guess that it kind of makes sense that she's able to like just walk in and decimate, you know. But
are you saying "but" on your own argument?
No, I was trying to add something to it, but I didn't know how to say it, and awkward silence is weird, and so you say "but" or to fill it.
What's your extra point?
I want to talk about. I don't remember from the movie. Oh, she like completely again then overthrows all of Asgard and completely like destroys any devotion those people have to their known leader Thor. Like, you know, she kicks. Well, Heimdall leaves, and then that guy I don't remember his name comes in, and like she completely like manipulates the entire like Asgardian people.
Well, she throws them into fear.
Okay, but that even furthers my point of like she's so powerful she just has a whole mass of people following her because she's that scary.
Yeah, are you talking about the Evil Dead army or the civilians that Heimdall was
like
protecting?
This both. So like there were still people in Asgard when she was ruling.
Yeah.
And then she has the whole Evil Dead army, which she takes the Eternal Flame to, which is also really cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think if she doesn't make the top 10, I won't be too upset. But I think she destroys Thor's hammer by just like grabbing it.
Yeah.
You know, and
she knocks his eye out too. That was pretty brutal.
Mm-hmm, it is. It's kind of a Star Wars people lose arms. Marvel movies people lose eyes.
At least at this point.
Yeah. That's all I got for Hela. I think her. I don't want to say her actions speak for herself because it's all make believe. But yeah.
Yeah. All right. Next, we're leaving the MCU for a second. Dr. Octopus from Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2.
Ooh.
Like,
sweet.
I just like how that character's story is just built in really well to this plot in Spider-Man 2, which is a great story of Peter Parker trying to balance personal life and being a superhero and responsibilities, and how are you gonna what do you have to give up to do what you need to do, and how much are you allowed to do what you want to do, right? How much of your personal life do you have to give up? How much of your Peter Parker lives in a crappy apartment with a door that doesn't even work.
It's true,
right?
There's the There's the weird girlfriend that's his neighbor and landlord's daughter.
He can't have the girlfriend that he wants because he can't make it to any place because he's always so busy. Right? He's trying to do work, right? But the only work that he can get is to send pictures of himself in his alter ego to a newspaper, which then just frames him as an awful person and a villain, which he doesn't want to do.
It's true.
And then he meets, Otto Octavius, who seems to have gone through a similar experience where, he's leading in this fusion proton experiment now, but there's obviously some struggle and some confusion there, right? And sacrifices had to be made, to get him there. And then this character becomes a villain as Peter Parker is slowly drifting out of the Spider-Man role. And the only reason that Peter comes back is because of this character and the values that are mixed up with him. Yes, pizza time. I think that it works so well, and then at the end of the movie, there comes to this great revelation where they both find out who each other are and have to understand. They come back to lessons that they discussed earlier in the movie before either of them had drifted from their path, and also just this idea of robotic arms taking over Otto and kind of building off of the insecurities of losing his wife in a failed experiment, right? Like that was a pretty heavy blow for one day, and these arms just capitalize on it. This AI sort of technology, and yes.
So then is the AI technology more the villain here than actual Octavius himself then? Like I've always wondered that.
It's a bit of both, right? If if Rosie, his wife, hadn't died, and the fusion thing hadn't collapsed, then I don't. Even if the little chip on the back of his neck had still shattered, I don't think that it would have gone to complete villainy. But I think that they found this AI found, negative emotions and a weakness and fueled on it.
For sure.
Yeah.
This is a mutual pick. I love Octavius for a lot of those same reasons, but I think he's just like he's kind of crazy even without like the whole AI neck chip thing. I haven't seen that movie in like a year. But the fact that he just is able to push Peter to like his absolute like limit.
They talk about the train scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good scene
too. Like throw out that being a good scene for Spider-Man. That's a great scene as like as a villain thing of like being able to like push the hero to like absolute nothing. And then even the last fight scene between them. Like when the whole
Spider-Man doesn't beat him in the fight.
No, he loses and then he's able to like gets lucky.
Otto's the one that puts the fusion thing in the water that saves the city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's like, and again, that's another thing when you talk about that I think that discredits him as a villain in a sense, like,
but
submerges his time bomb Nova thing. I don't remember, but
the good part of Doc, if Otto Octavius had not conquered the Doc Ock personality, right at the end, Doc Ock would have destroyed New York City
for sure. I agree. Okay, does he attack his aunt in this movie? Doesn't that happen too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He holds her on the
ledge.
Yeah. Because then Peter's gonna jump across to attack him, and Otto holds like a knife arm behind his back, and then Aunt May whacks him in the head with an umbrella. So like,
and again, shout outs to him for that, like to Octavius for like going at like going after like the aunt or whatever, the loved one and stuff. Like, I sometimes hate it when supervillains do that because it's so annoying.
Yep.
But he does it really well here. Octavius makes this list. I'm telling you that right now.
Moving on. How much of Netflix's Daredevil did you watch?
All of season 1 and 1 or 2 episodes of season 2. I didn't watch a ton. I know I've watched a ton of synopsises of it because I don't know. I never got into the Netflix shows. Everybody's going to roast me for this. I love Iron Fist, and I know everybody hates it. And that's fine. I don't care. I'm not going to defend my love for it. I just like it. Okay?
Yeah.
But I know who Kingpin is, and I know what he's done in the show enough to like...
My argument's going to kind of come from season 3, when he kind of gets called Kingpin. I think he was really good in season 1 and 2 as well.
Yeah. Season 1, he's pulling the strings really well.
Right. In season 3, I'll kind of try to sum this up quickly for you.
Just do it.
He gets arrested, but out of safety concerns, even though the man's a brute.
Yeah.
He arranges to have his prison in this sort of house arrest thing at like the penthouse of this hotel, and
very Kingpin like.
He has all these like FBI agents kind of coming in and out and all this and that. Hashtag cancel Logan. Get roasted.
Thanks, Wyatt.
And about halfway through the season, there's kind of this quick little moment where you realize that everything that's happening in the season, except Daredevil, because Daredevil died at the end of the Punishers.
Yeah.
So aside from his recovery and personal journey, everything else that's happening in New York City is happening because Kingpin is pulling the strings in the FBI, in the prison, in the hotel, in everything. And he has like everyone in his pocket, and he's in prison. He is arrested, officially and legally.
There's that devotion.
But he owns everything, and they call him the Kingpin because that's what he is. He's just dominating everything.
You don't have to convince me of who Kingpin is.
And as a villain to Daredevil in that show, he pushes him so hard and so far to the point where the series finale, like, Daredevil just screams because he's about to kill Kingpin, but if he does that, then he's no longer the hero. He turns into a villain
yeah.
himself, and it's a really interesting moment.
Yep.
Something that we can both talk about. Same character, in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
That's literally was gonna get into that. That's where I was gonna.
I think just the pure force and strength of this character.
How much
is shown. Like Spider-Man is famously resilient, right? Like you can hit him with a train, like he did in Far From Home, and he's still walking, even if he's limping in that movie. But like you can like beat the piss out of him, and he just stands up. But Kingpin comes at him, and just power slams him so hard that it sort of murders him.
It's true. Well, I think he crushes his neck a little bit too.
No,
I think he squeezes as he does it. That's what. Anyway.
He does.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right.
Down,
It's that one. Okay.
Right, screams and boom, Spider-Man's dead. That's significant.
It is. It's one of the greatest songs of that soundtrack comes on. And I think
feel free to take over.
Another reason I think Kingpin for the Marvel stuff, like you covered that really well. The sheer fact that animated character in Spider-Verse takes up 70% of the screen.
Yeah.
When he's on it, and he's just like, this is proof enough to me that he's a crazy enough villain, and his motives in Spider-Verse, because it is a little bit, I think it's because they had to dumb it down just a little bit, because it's a little bit more of a family movie. He's like, I want to save my kids that I got killed, or the wife, right?
Yeah, wife and kid, because they ran away because they saw him fighting Spider-Man. Got in a car accident, so he wants to bring him to this dimension.
Which I think is it's an extremely good motive for because it comes out of it evil. Is like all of a majority of all of the villains we've talked about have been like, except for like Mysterio, a couple of them, but have been like, something hurt me, I want to hurt like people back. But this is like, I'm just straight up an evil dude who's about to murder this beacon of hope and light for I'm assuming his kid and his wife, and then he blames Spider-Man for the fact that like his wife and kids died, which it's not really Spider-Man's fault in any way, but he does. And so I think for that, I think that unique motive as a villain sets him up to be like good. And I think we hash Kingpin because he goes hard. We got Magneto from all of the NEX movies. Now, even like you could like, I kind of said for Magneto for X3 Last Stand
when he moves the Golden Gate Bridge,
just for the sheer flex of moving the Golden Gate Bridge over to the
very powerful character. There's definitely no doubt of that.
He's a class 5. Or no, he's 4. Only Jean is a class 5. We should have put Jean on here. She's a villain. But
you have to call it Dark Phoenix then.
Anyway, I think Magneto gets on here because he successfully, just like Zemo, I think I've got a little bit of a shtick here, creates like a an even bigger mass civil war in X-Men. And it's 3 parties this time. There's the scene in the forest or whatever, and you see all the little dots. You got like the government on one side, and you got the X-Men here, and then X-Men over here, and then you got Magneto like over here, and it's just like this all-out brawl in the middle. It's awesome. New Magneto?
Nah. I think Magneto can be considered on this list in light of all the movies that he's been in, so both Ian McKellen and Michael Fassbender. Because in those original movies, he's the bad guy. He's the one that you have to beat, and he moves metal, and it's a pretty cool power, but you're never like, man, this is...
Actually, Days of Future Past, he goes pretty hard as Fassbender at the end there.
Yeah. When
he's got the metal like flying all around him and stuff, like that's pretty cool.
Are you talking about Apocalypse?
I was thinking of Apocalypse, never mind.
Yeah. But then you look at Fassbender, where they kind of ground him a little more and talk about his character. Yeah. And you find out his origins, right? How he was a Jew in World War II.
Savage origins.
And his mom was killed, right? And then, really, that's the origin of why he decides to become a villain, is all this pain and rage. And you understand where he's coming from and where the source of this power is.
Yep.
And then you watch that grow through these movies. You know, this maybe it's not the Nazis or Germans exactly, but these governments or power organizations that he has anger and pain towards, and he just unleashes his power upon them. And
Well, that's kind of ironic though, because him in and of himself is a Hitler character.
Yeah. Well, that's the irony that he can't see in his own self.
Which I think is an even a better idea to make him a good, compelling character.
Yep.
So yeah, that's a good point. I don't think Magneto makes top 5. I think
can see it.
maybe 5. I don't know. Okay, we have.
This next one's all you, dude.
Oh yeah. Yes, this is my time. So as we discussed earlier, I love TV shows way more than I do. Not way more than I do movies.
You can just tell them who you're gonna do.
Anyway, Michael Rosenbaum, Lex Luthor from Smallville. That man is straight up diabolical. You talk about Kingpin, like being able to pull the strings and everything like that. This man's doing stuff from until the very last episode of season 10. Yep. Like 10 seasons of him absolutely manipulating the Kent family and the world. And like he does some crazy messed up stuff in that show.
Yep.
The fact that like there's a whole arc where Lana, they're whatever. She wants to be with Clark, but she can't because he has superpowers and she doesn't, and they can't have sex. Like that's actually the motive behind why she leaves.
Yep.
And so, in return for that, Lex is like, "Well, I need to create super soldiers and stuff like that." That's a very Lex Luthor trope in all of the comics and everything. Yep. So he creates this super soldier serum that Lana then goes and like takes. But Lex, being so smart, makes it so that like it's a direct, like it's infused with like kryptonite. So Clark and Lana can never be together, even though she goes through this tremendous like effort to get. Like he completely does the 2 star-crossed lovers things, and they will never cross because they will both die.
Yeah.
Like it's insane. Or there are so many crazy things that this man does. He gets his assistant to crash a plane to test Clark.
Yep.
It's crazy. Like, the man is pulling strings from everything and everywhere, and he's like straight up just like crazy, and he's obsessed. And I could talk for this. I could talk about him for a long time. And you want to talk about like character change?
Yep.
This man actually has the reverse. Most villains kind of like I think most arcs kind of go from evil to good. Like the hero kind of is able to like redeem them. Not in Smallville. Clark actually pushes Lex so far off the deep end that Clark is sort of the reason he goes crazy.
Yeah.
Because Clark saves him, and Lex is just so obsessed with how this just farm boy is able to get smashed by a Porsche and all these crazy things, and it drives him even more to become more crazy. And yeah, it's incredible. If you have not watched Smallville, you really should. Well, I wouldn't say you should, but just look up anything. Just look any scenes of Lex Luthor from this movie, and you just see how diabolical he is.
Yep.
It's insane.
It's a good representation of the character for sure.
Yeah.
As a regular human that has to be the opposite of Superman, who's like the most powerful person on the planet.
Yep.
Right, you have to do that well, otherwise it doesn't make sense. And in this show, they did it well.
Yeah, and thank you. Shout out to Riley, who's in the chat, for giving me Smallville.
Yep.
Yeah, he did it. I'd watched most of it before, but he gave it to me and let me finish it. You hit, and that's the Lex Luthor thing too, of like a man versus God, type of thing, and that complex and
small G.
Yeah, small G God. And yeah, he needs to make this list. If he's number 9 or 10, I'm happy with it. But it just the sheer amount of like power that man has, like, is insane. Like he makes Clark question like everything about him. He just takes his love interest from him more than once. Almost kills his dad. Like, he's ready to assassinate Jonathan Kent.
Yep.
They run against each other as governor. It's this whole thing. He tries to marry Lana, which is a whole... talk about emotional manipulation. So, awesome.
Next one is one of our best ones.
Joker. Yeah, this is... we're going to have to... We could talk for... we could do a whole thing of this on just Joker alone.
Yeah, we'll keep it concise.
We'll keep it...
Do you want to just limit it to The Dark Knight? Heath Ledger's...
Yeah, we'll just do Heath Ledger.
Okay.
Yeah. He just... Nobody makes Batman... Like, nobody pushes him like Batman does. Or like Joker
and
does
he
to
wins.
Batman. Yeah, straight up.
The way that he uses situations and Harvey Dent... And I think the whole Harvey Dent story is really an expert demonstration of how good of a villain Joker is. So they arrest the Joker and Batman's interrogating him, and Joker reveals at the right time that not only has Harvey Dent been kidnapped, but Rachel Dawes, the love interest of Harvey Dent and Bruce Wayne, who's Batman.
Yeah.
And while Joker does not know who Batman is yet, he knows
enough
that this Batman person has a romantic interest in Rachel Dawes based on the incident
at the fundraiser
at Wayne Tower.
The fundraiser.
Yeah. So, in revealing the locations for Harvey Dent and Rachel, he swaps them intentionally because you hear Batman say, "I'm gonna go get Rachel," but when he walks in the building, that's where Harvey Dent is. Because Joker knows that Batman's going to get there in time, the police are not. And the way that his plan is going to work is if Batman goes and saves Harvey Dent and Rachel dies. But he knows that Batman's going to try to get Rachel. So he swaps the locations.
Yeah.
Rachel dies, which throws Harvey Dent into
blinding
madness,
rage. Yeah.
Madness because the cops didn't save Rachel. Right, which inspires this.
And that's completely ironic because Harvey Dent was the district attorney who like supports cops and like fight like
not all the cops though.
No, but his job is like though at its core is to like support the justice. It doesn't so like it's a real punch in the teeth to him that the people like that is
Well, cool. and he builds on it too because earlier in the movie, Harvey shows distrust for some of the cops in Jim Gordon's unit who were the ones sent to go get Rachel.
Scarecrow dude, yeah.
And then you watch this madness and rage through all these circumstances and scenarios, which Joker's pulling the strings on, which lead to this final conclusion, this final moment of the movie, where Harvey Dent, who has become this two-faced persona, breaks everything that he stood for in the first 2 hours of the movie and undoes all the work that has been done trying to contain all these criminals.
Yeah.
And if this gets out, then everything that has been done through the whole movie is then immediately undone. So in doing that, one, he breaks the best in terms of goodness, the goodest man of Gotham, turns him to full
most righteous
villain,
Gotham, yeah.
Right? And turns the hero of our movie, The Dark Knight, forces him to assume the role of a villain. And that is victory.
Oh yeah.
Like it's never been done before.
Well, and I don't have much else to add, but just the sheer mental like games that the Joker plays with people, talking about the two fairies and like it's the trolley thing. It's the trolley scenario exactly. Not exactly, but like you have the criminals who are like, it's so amazing that he like pits the people against each other like that. Like it's so crazy, and like he also like just flexes on all of the crime bosses in Gotham City and just like takes control of everything.
Well, and back to that prison scene, right? Joker's not a villain that you beat by physically dominating him.
No.
Joker is intentionally shown as physically weaker than most other characters.
Yeah.
Whenever whenever the mob tries to threaten him, he pulls out like a gun or a grenade because he can't win that fight. And Joker beats him hard in that prison.
Yes, he does.
Right? And that's the point of it. He says, you literally can't do anything to me because what I have in motion will not be beat by brute force, which is just how you beat the Scarecrow or Bane or any of these other villains. But you can't do that with the Joker because he's above, a physical fist fight to win.
Yeah, he doesn't care about that. Yeah. That's I'm pretty sure Joker's gonna get number one.
I'm gonna say that too.
So we have Bane from the other Nolan movie,
Dark Knight Rises.
I might go out on I don't know. I think Bane might actually be a better straight up villain for Batman than Joker when you talk about like one-on-one in this specific trilogy of movies. Overall, Joker in the comic books and in the animated stuff is way better villain, but I think like Bane is such a better like villain for Batman because he attacks like Bruce Wayne.
Yep.
He hits like the twofold part of it, right? Like he destroys his company. He sends Talia Ghul in there. Well, Talia Ghul sends him. So really, Talia Ghul should be the person we're talking about if we're talking about this movie. But anyway, but Bane like systematically destroys everything that Bruce's family built up in Gotham City. Yep. Like everything. So like I think, and so he hits that twofold because he knows who he is, and like he pushes him like no other villain has before. I think I don't know. I'm not because like. He sends him to the death hole and like has to like make him like work his way out and I think Joker I don't think quite did that to that extent to
he didn't physically break Batman like Bane did. But Joker's warfare was a lot more mental and ideological.
I would agree I would disagree to say that Bane also broke him emotionally.
Yeah. But in a different way. Bane's was more I have beaten you and I've broken you, and I try to get up from it because you won't, even though he does. But Joker's is more of a here's what you think is working and here's what you think is gonna do the trick. But because I'm here, everything that you believe in and everything that you want and hope and think is gonna work is gonna fail. But I don't think Bane's a bad villain. He physically wrecks Batman harder than any other villain.
Yep.
Right, in that back break, especially in that movie.
Oh, that's gruesome. That's
the crack heard around the world, man.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I think Bane. I think we covered Bane. So we have Eobard Thawne from the Flash
TV
series, or Reverse Flash. I think he is, without a doubt, the best Flash villain out of all of the villains. Because he, like, if you haven't watched Flash, then, like, it doesn't matter. Because he's not one of those villains that, like, Barry fights once. It's a
he's a recurring one.
He is everything about Flash is almost, you could say, is based around him. Like the fact that Barry
he makes the Flash.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. The fact that Barry Allen is the Flash is because of him.
Yeah.
And like the first season of the Flash is incredible.
Yep.
Just for the relationship that you have between, I don't even remember Dr. whatever his fit.
Harrison Wells.
Yeah, you got Dr. Wells, who is Eobard Thawne, coaching Barry, the Flash, who inevitably is the one that he knows because he's going to take him down. Like it's crazy. It's awesome. And then
the point of this character's arc is to create the Flash, who wasn't supposed to be made.
Yeah.
Barry Allen wasn't supposed to become the Flash for another 20 years.
Yeah, 20 years.
But he makes the Flash earlier, so that he can teach him enough skills to enable time travel to send himself back
to his regular
the original timeline. Yes.
Yeah. Which is that like that's when you talk about like pure evil, that's not that. Besides killing Barry's mom, which is pretty.
I mean, he's a bad guy.
And like, and that's the other thing.
And well, if you want to talk about how bad he is, season 1, right near the end, they capture him.
Yep.
And they have this conversation face to face, Flash to Reverse Flash, and it's this really intimidating conversation where Eobard says like, "I hate you. I've hated you for years." But then the irony was that the only way that I could save myself and go back home was to like make you the person who I hated most.
Mm-hmm. It's great, and the fact.
So I mean, like, really on a personal level, that's really impressive that you put up with that and hide it very well for however long that season's supposed to take place over.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and the lasting effects.
Yep.
Like Reverse Flash killing Barry's mom, like, didn't just affect Barry, like, affected his entire life, his dad's life, everything.
And as we're shown, the timeline.
Yeah.
History as it
changed
unfolds
drastically.
Yep.
And like, Barry's dad goes to prison, which is the entire motive for Barry throughout his entire life to become a CSI, to prove that he's innocent, which he does. Eventually.
Yep.
But it's still like the fact that, yeah, like pure. And then I don't know if we want to talk about season 5 Flash and you.
Well, we can address this too. Is Eobard Thawne, the Reverse Flash, is the reason that all the other Flash villains exist in the show, because that particle acceleration explosion, which created the Flash, also created all these other metahumans in Central City, which are now recurring villains and foes through the seasons.
I didn't even think about that. Reverse Flash literally
made all the villains.
Okay, that's there's
like a small handful that weren't a result of that.
Yeah, you got like the Freeze, like the brothers. You have the
anyone that doesn't use Metatech, or anyone that wasn't from another Earth.
Yeah, thinking of Wentworth Miller.
Yeah. The Captain Cold, and they call him Heatwave.
Yeah, Heatwave. Yeah. Okay, well, that's enough about. So then we have Syndrome from Incredibles 1.
We're moving away from Marvel and DC now.
Yeah, we're doing our last little bit. So we have Syndrome from Incredibles 1.
Interesting character.
Very interesting, because it's kind of twofold again of like his villainy, right? He has like this great motive of like being shunned by Mr. Incredible his whole life and having this hero complex built up for him, and then just buddy go away, like and so he creates a lot of resentment. But then he did, and then that resentment just boils and festers into this hatred for all superheroes.
Yeah.
Which then turns off, like all superheroes are shut down, made illegal.
Yep. Well, that was kind of in play before Syndrome.
But I think Syndrome honestly had a huge.
He was
behind the scenes.
He was still a kid when that happened.
Okay. Well, oh yeah, never mind. I'm getting the timeline a little confused. Bon voyage.
But with Syndrome, we see an example of a hero's past mistake, not even a deliberate evil intention, that comes back to bite our protagonist in the future in the way that he really wouldn't have expected. And that just it's something that hadn't been done before, and I don't think it's even been done as well since, except maybe outside of a few comic books. But and
well, he gets the whole family.
Yeah, his mantra is very interesting as well, right? It's enough to say, I don't like superheroes and I want them dead. But then for him to say, actually, above that, I want to make the entire world equipped to be a superhero.
Yes.
So that when everyone is super, no one will be. So that everyone who is a superhero now becomes ordinary, and being a superhero now means nothing.
Yeah. Well, and it comes back to the Lex Luthor type of thing where Syndrome does not have powers.
Mm-hmm.
It's It's man versus
Toltec.
It's man versus godlike person.
Yep.
And he absolutely
Now,
has the Incredibles dead to rights, except for it being a movie. He has them dead to rights.
Yep.
So succeeds, at least in catching the Incredibles anyway.
The only really, if he's not gonna make our list, it's the fact that in the final act of the movie he's kind of a wuss and he goes out true. He goes out with the smallest of bangs.
Doesn't he get?
He kidnaps Jack.
Doesn't he
flies him up, and then Jack
doesn't he get ripped through?
And he gets pulled into a.
That ain't no engine. Small bang. You're turned into like.
Yeah, but it wasn't his last triumph.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean.
And he just lost by the skin of his teeth.
Well, his last triumph was those big giant death robots,
which also beat him up.
I guess. I don't know. Hey, Jaden. Yeah, next one. Well, we got Megamind. I haven't seen this movie.
Neither of us have seen this movie
in years.
But it does have a lasting impact on us.
Who's the voice actor for that?
Will Ferrell.
Okay, yeah. Now I'm remembering.
Yeah, Megamind is a story because he's not even the villain the whole time.
No, he's not.
But him as a villain really is what we're talking about. And it's interesting because he's not a villain just to be evil, but we see him as a villain who exists to be this counter to a very specific superhero. Right, I don't know if you know this, but there was a Harley Quinn animated series was just released.
Yes.
They're 2 seasons in.
Yeah.
And Harley Quinn is broken up from the Joker, and she's kind of building her own.
It's Birds of Prey, but
except that there's men in there too.
But it's the motive of Birds of Prey spread out into a TV series.
And so she builds this group of villains around her, and there's one episode where she's looking for a nemesis because that's what any good villain has, and that's kind of what Megamind is I have this nemesis, and then I accidentally killed him. Because really, the trap that kills the hero because he doesn't actually die.
Yeah.
The trap that kills the hero, we're led to believe that Megamind assumed that it wouldn't actually work. It was supposed to be another failure, so that the hero would win again, and then the next day they could repeat the same process over and over again until Megamind actually wins as a villain and has no idea what to do with himself anymore. So he tries to make another hero to be his
fight
nemesis
himself. Again. Yeah. Which
it's an interesting idea for a story.
Well, Joker in other iterations of Joker has that same thing.
Even in the Dark Knight too, he says he won't kill Batman because
he wants to play with him.
They're destined to do it forever.
Yeah. Which is that's more of a meta fourth wall line, I think, than it is actual. Yeah. But Megamind is. We should watch that.
Yeah,
we should.
It's a good movie.
Okay, well, we have the last. You're gonna have to do all of. I know a little bit about this character, but it's Mr. Glass from Unbreakable.
So, I'm focusing exclusively on the Unbreakable movie because the Glass movie from last year was not a good movie.
Right.
So, this movie, Unbreakable by M. Night Shyamalan, follows Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
Who is in a train crash.
Yeah, I know the movie.
But he leaves with a scratch or a broken bone, nothing happens. He's the only one that survived this.
Yeah.
And through this movie, he's slowly discovering that he's the strongest person on Earth and is, as per the title, unbreakable. You can't break him with a bullet. You can't break anything. But his weakness is actually water, for some reason. So if you put him underwater, he will die.
Yeah.
On the contrary, Samuel Jackson in this movie, who owns a comic store, is the most breakable person in the world. If you flicked him, his arm would break. Right? All of his bones are just incredibly brittle. And through this movie, you were led to believe that Bruce Willis is being trained and informed by Samuel Jackson to become this hero to take down this dark figure who does awful things to children and women and
Yeah, which
is
is
just a bad person.
Which is the...
And so the movie ends. Bruce Willis takes down this figure. He gets arrested. He gets put in prison. It's been done. And then you find out that this shadow figure that's been doing all these bad things was actually put into play by Mr. Glass, who's been orchestrating this whole series of events.
Sounds like a Megamind almost.
Yeah. So he made this villain because he knew that this hero existed and worked to make Bruce Willis become this hero. And the only reason that he could be a hero is if there was a villain. So he made all these terrible things happen so that Bruce Willis would become a superhero. But in doing that, in becoming a superhero, that means that there has to be evil for you to fight. And Mr. Glass was the mastermind behind it all.
I like that. I should watch those movies, but I heard they're really scary.
Unbreakable's not that scary. Okay. Split is a little bit.
Might watch those. Okay, well, that's all of them because we're not gonna touch on Bludnovsky.
We talked about him.
He's just an honor. He's got the cool dual pistol with the one trigger. He's
really good at comic relief.
Yeah, he is. Okay.
Criminally funny.
So who are we? We should just start by cutting some people out right now. Because we have way more than 10 on here.
Yeah, truthfully, Megamind probably does need to be on.
I was going to say, I don't think Megamind should make there, but I don't think we should rule out Syndrome.
Syndrome has a chance.
I think Syndrome actually has a chance. As much as I don't want to get rid of her, I don't think Hela really deserves to be on here.
Yep.
She destroys Thor's hammer, but she does just get destroyed because Thor awakens as lightning and stuff. Like, I think she doesn't have a lasting effect like the rest of them do.
Yep.
Probably get. I don't care, whatever.
Do you want to write down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10?
Yeah, we should. Or you do it.
Okay, one thing we can both agree on. Number 1, Joker.
Yeah, we can definitively.
Number 1, Joker. 2 other ones that we know will make it on there. Loki and Thanos.
Yeah. Where
do you want to place them? Ish. I have a pencil.
4 and 5. Put the middle of the road for right now. Because I think...
What do you want at 4? What do you want at 5?
Thanos at 4, Loki at 5.
Alright.
What else we got here? Honestly, I would be... We should put... Honestly, if Vulture didn't... I don't think Vulture deserves to be on our list.
Alright. I'll start crossing these out here.
Because I don't think... From all that we talked about, I don't think he's a fantastic villain, but I don't think he's top 10. I don't know enough about Mr. Glass to make... I feel like
he's probably not going to make the list.
I feel like he would be a really cool one.
He's a nice honorable mention, and I'll accept
We'll
that.
give him the 11th spot.
Yeah, sure. If there was an 11, he would have been 11.
He'd be 11. Honestly... Zemo needs to be top 3.
You think?
I think he's 3.
I'll give Zemo 4.
Okay, I'll take 4, but then we put Thanos at 3.
Sure.
I don't want to put Loki. I don't want to put Joker and then Thanos as the top 2 because I think there are better villains out there besides those 2. Honestly,
well, not Joker.
No, but better than Thanos. Yes. I'm gonna say it. I think from all that we talked about, I think Ubarthon
number 2. I can accept that
because remember this is our bias and who we think is based on what we know and what we like. So
based on this discussion as well.
Yeah, where he creates every problem ever that the Flash. I think that's pretty clever. What about Mysterio?
He'd be lower.
Yeah, I'd give him 10.
You want to go that low?
Maybe. I think Zemo really... my boy Zemo needs to get some recognition. He's already at 4, so I'm happy, but like...
He's penciled in there pretty good.
Oh, we gotta put Bane on here still.
Where do you want Lex Luthor?
5.
5?
5. Come on, because you've watched some of Smallville. Like, you know.
Yep. Okay, that moves Loki out of 5.
You can put him at 6.
Alright.
Loki kind of gets dunked on in the end. What do we still got left? Bane.
Do you want Syndrome on our list?
I do. I really do, actually. Based on our discussion, I really want him on there. Because, like, he really...
I feel like Syndrome does not deserve number 10. So do you want him 7, 8, or 9?
I'll give him 9.
Alright.
Yeah.
There we go.
What do we got left?
For options, Bane, Magneto, Kingpin, Dr. Octopus, and Mysterio.
We should put Kingpin at, like, the next highest spot.
8 or 7?
7. Because I think both from Spider-Verse and from Marvel, he is really pulling the...
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you want to, are you fine giving Bane the boot?
Yeah, I will. I don't 100% agree, but for the sake of this, I will.
Okay, then we have to boot either Magneto, Dr. Octopus, or Mysterio.
Honestly, I'd be okay with booting Octavius. I don't know. What do you think?
I feel like the movie, I could live with that.
With booting Octavius?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
Do you want Magneto number 8, Mysterio number 10?
Yeah, that's fine with me. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Alright.
Let's read it out.
Ladies and gentlemen, all 2 of you presently watching.
Oh, we're recording.
The official verdict after discussion between Logibear and the Shinator. Top 10 supervillains from superhero movies. Number 10, Mysterio.
Spider-Man
Far From Home. Number 9 is Syndrome from The Incredibles.
Heck yeah.
Number 8 is Magneto from the entire X-Men franchise. Number 7 is Kingpin from both Netflix's Daredevil and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Number 6 is Loki from the MCU. Number 5 is Lex Luthor from Smallville. Number 4, Baron Helmut Zemo from Captain America Civil War. Number 3, Thanos, largely from Avengers Infinity War. Number 2, Eobard Thawne from the CW's Flash TV series. And number 1, best supervillain, is the Joker from The Dark Knight.
And just all of Joker, really. Like, even the Joker movie, we didn't talk about it exclusively.
Well, not every Joker. There was a Suicide Squad Joker.
Jared Leto's Joker, okay. But that's not his fault. That's not Jared Leto's fault.
Yeah.
That's Warner Brothers sticking their grubby hands in there.
That's part of it. Yep.
Anyway, well, this is actually, it's quite successful.
I think so. Look how many comments we got.
We got a lot.
I mean, I don't know. I've never done this before, so I don't know.
This is actually.
I don't know how many comments you're supposed to receive, but
for having 4 viewers at max, that's pretty good. I got an email at the end of the night that tells me. Anyway, we should definitely do this again.
I think we will,
because I don't think we'll do an hour and a half next time though.
Maybe not. Is that only hour 15?
Hour. We've been going for about an hour of like actual talk, which is good. But
we'll see what next Monday looks like.
Yeah,
maybe
next Monday. We'll see. I was maybe gonna do every 2 weeks.
We'll see.
It's just for what was Riley saying? He's got some comments.
Joker movie was not a superhero movie. If it was a superhero movie, then it sucked.
You're not wrong, but we're not talking about superhero movies. We're talking about supervillains.
Yeah.
So it makes perfect sense that Joker fits in then. Riley, why are you complaining anyway? Heath Ledger's like your favorite Joker ever. You literally have poster after poster of him up in your room.
I better be seeing this in a week.
In a week?
Yep.
Should we do it next week?
Let's do it.
Okay. Just so you guys know, I'm gonna try and get this recording up either on like YouTube or something. I will post links somewhere to wherever we decide to
we'll
put
start
it.
A new YouTube channel and we'll post it.
That's probably what I'm thinking we'll do. Actually. And I really do want to try to get these audio, get the audio and put them actually on like SoundCloud to start.
Sure.
And then just share links to people. So Twitch chat, be on the lookout for that. Next time we'll actually have your Facebook linked so people can actually go and read your reviews and stuff like that. Just look up Shininator film, what is it, Shinman's List or Shininator Film Reviews?
If you're searching it, Shininator Film Reviews, the website is facebook.com/Shinman's List.
Oh, okay.
Riley said you called the Joker movie, you meant all Joker. You called that the newest one, a superhero movie. Which you kind of did. He's not wrong.
I digress. I don't need Riley proving me wrong in my own chat. Anyway,
thank you for watching.
Yeah, thank you for listening, and we'll probably see you guys next week.
Until next time, see you there.